We did, I think, after 1997, strengthen and increase regulation, particularly in the financial sector, and often in the face of immense opposition, particularly from the Conservative Party, but also from right more widely across the economy. But actually we needed to go further, to strengthen regulation further, to keep up with the pace of the financial change. And that's what we need to do now, and Alistair will be setting out a white paper on the future of the banking sector and regulation around the time of the budget. But I think we also need to recognise that actually the strongest regulatory framework in any one country could still not have protected us from the scale of the international problems we're facing. You look at all kinds of different countries with all kinds of different regulatory frameworks all being affected. So in Japan, they've seen manufacturing output drop by 30 to 40% in just 3 months. In Germany, they're being hit more heavily than we are here, and 650,000 jobs were lost in America alone. And that, I think, reiterates the importance of not just looking at regulation here, but looking at regulation on the international stage as well. We've taken action also, obviously, to make sure that savers don't lose money, to make sure that you didn't see big banks go under in the UK, which could have been catastrophic. And I think it was right to take action, for example, to nationalise Northern Rock, even though that was heavily opposed in some quarters, because it could have been devastating if we had the equivalent of what happened with Lehman Brothers here in the UK. We've got more to do now to get the banks to clean up their balance sheets, to get increased responsible lending to businesses and households, and then also the fiscal boost, actually putting money into the economy. The VAT cut is the equivalent of about £20 per household per month on average in people's pockets. It doesn't make the difference on a Thursday afternoon you're out shopping, do you decide to buy something or not. It does make a difference at the end of the month when you've got more money in your pocket as a result of the cut in VAT affecting lots and lots of different things, lots and lots of different decisions. Alongside, we've obviously got the cut in interest rates. If you're on a tracker mortgage, that's worth about £400 a month to you as a result of the cuts in interest rates. And that makes a big difference too, putting more money into the economy. And then, of course, putting money into public sector capital spending, into repairs of primary schools, into insulating people's homes, building more homes. That extra investment supports jobs, particularly in the construction industry, at a time when we need it most. And I think you've got to use the power of government putting money into the economy to support those jobs in the short term. Because frankly, if we don't, it will actually cost us more in the long term. And we've seen the Conservatives' approach, which is to say, no, not only should we not support the extra investment, actually we should cut it. And we should make cuts from this April in things like apprenticeships, housing, transport infrastructure, because Britain can't afford it. I think Britain can't afford not to. Because if we don't invest early on, what you see is unemployment runs higher for longer. The kinds of things we saw in the 80s where you had unemployment at record highs, not just for a couple of years, but actually for a whole decade. And the scarring of an entire generation, the huge problems that we saw that actually had a legacy for very many years to come. And that's why I think it's right to invest early in order to save money later on. And the reason that we can afford to do it is because we took decisions to make sure we have the lowest debt of many of our major European countries, and that means you can afford to take action in the short term. It does mean, of course, that borrowing has to come back down again. And that will make for difficult decisions in the future to make sure we do that. But that's why we've said we'll do that in a fair way. So we'll introduce a new top rate of tax in order to bring in additional revenue to bring that borrowing down. We will need restraint in the public sector, including continued restraint on public sector pay, because we're going to need to make sure we're delivering value for money in the public sector as well in order to bring borrowing down. But again, we need to do this in a way that's fair and supports the economy, protects and improves our public services, because that in the end will also help us build the economy for the future. And that's the final area that I want to finish on, that this is not simply about what we do to get through the challenges in the short term. It's also about how we build our economy for the future, how we keep up the investment in skills, how we keep up the investment, helping people to get new jobs, putting investment into the job centres, working with businesses, working with the trade unions on what are the key skills that we need for the future. Is it high-tech technologies? Is it green environmental jobs for the future? How do we expand the number of apprenticeships? How do we expand the number of training opportunities for our young people so that when the world economy turns around, we're well placed to take advantage of those jobs, and we're well placed to do so in every region as well. And that's the final thought I'd leave you with. I think that seeing this in terms of the growth for the future, we've got to make sure that we're also doing this region by region across the country, using the regional development agencies, investing in regional skills, so that every corner of the country can take advantage of the new opportunities for the future. So we know that this is a difficult time, but we also know, I think, that we can come through this if we've got that support for collective action, for pulling through together, for working together, and then I think we can build a very strong economy for the future as well. Thank you very much.